Hey guys, first fan of the night.
First fan of the night.
So, as always, for behind the scenes footage and other cool stuff, go to patreon.com/dspiffy. Many people have been asking me about various things that have gone on in the barn, and Pete and I are going to do hopefully, well, not just Pete and I, hopefully Pete, Rick, Andy, Todd, Stuart, hopefully everybody is going to get in on one brand new big barn tour in the coming month or so. But if you want to see some of the stuff already, I think pretty much everything has been filmed and is up on Patreon, so you can see it there. There's a whole barn content thread. There are trying to think of what hasn't been seen at all, like even in the background. I think I did the new I think I posted the new enclosure video. I don't think anything's from over in that section has been public yet. So, spoiler alert, there are 7 fans that you haven't seen yet unless you're a Patreon subscriber, that are in a completely different section. I did post the socket fans. So that's, technically there's 9 fans in that section, but the socket fans have been posted. There's been a few updates upstairs too. I don't think I filmed that yet, but when we do film that, it'll go on Patreon first and then part of the public tour. So, and speaking of which, Pete's been hard at work upstairs. Him and I did a little bit of organizing tonight. Pete did a lot of organizing tonight. I got here after he did. And so there'll be, at some point, we'll be able to do a tour upstairs of the organization in addition to just the massive metal industrial display. Before we talk about the fan, Pete, anything you want to add to all of that? Or did I cover it?
I think you covered.
Okay. Well, this is RickBlender.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Because we did the other
or
one.
Or technically number 8. Right? Because there were 6 in that first haul.
That batch, yep.
And then 2 in the second batch. And so I think I've got the YouTube videos as 1 through 8 as opposed to 1 through 6 and then 1 through 2 again. But technically this is number 2 of the most recent haul. These 2 are the only ones I've ever seen that still have the stickers intact on top of the blades.
Oh, yeah.
You saw those, right, Pete?
Yes, I did.
And I think I made a video of them, and that might be on Patreon. If not, it will be. Feel free to request that, though. Apparently, Blenderfans came from the factory with stickers on top of the blades.
Talking about their balance.
Yeah. And I'd never seen any intact, because Blenderfans get worked to death.
Yep.
Pretty much everywhere they get hung, they get worked to death, and those stickers don't last. But these came out of a church where they were used pretty sparingly.
Yeah, well, I thought churches use them.
Oh, they do. But these must have been used awfully gently because the bearings aren't too bad, capacitors aren't bad, and those stickers are still intact. You can tell they were used because they had dust on the blades. It wasn't like they never ran them.
Right, I think they probably ran them for heat purposes.
Right.
That's oftentimes the case. They're using it to bring heat down and keep heat from escaping or stratifying. So
yeah.
That's their purpose. And yes, these are very common with churches in general.
That's true. I don't know exactly how that marketing happened other than Emerson doing their own heat fan marketing. They were one of the first. Honestly, I guess that's probably what it was. Because Emerson was, I think, the first U.S. company to talk about heat reclamation. Envirofan was first, but they were in Canada. Wilcorp was first, but they were in Canada. And so Emerson might have been the first U.S. company to start marketing commercial fans for heat reclamation.
Yep.
And then specifically market them to churches. Because if you look at the heat fan documentation, and there's some on my YouTube channel, they specifically mention churches and houses of worship.
Oh, that does make sense now that you mentioned that. I kept wondering about that. I kept saying to myself, man, were those so common with churches?
I wonder if somebody at Emerson Corporate got a list of churches and just sent brochures out.
It's very possible.
Because they clearly, if you look at their documentation, they clearly do mention churches, and they even show pictures of them in churches.
Yes. I was wondering about that. So now this makes sense.
Because I'd say, because what you typically see in churches, I would argue, is Emerson's, Envirofans and Newtones are probably the most common.
Yes, new tones. That's right. Veranda Deluxes.
And Pro Lines.
Yes, Pro Lines. Oh, yes.
And I know that all. So one thing that all those have in common is they were all sold through like electric suppliers, like Crescent Electric, Western Electric.
Okay.
Well, Granger obviously is the biggest one, but Granger
sold Dayton.
They sold Emerson too.
Did they?
And Fasco. And
I thought Fascos seemed to be more in the South.
They do, but they were in the Granger book.
Okay.
And Lascos were in the Granger book, and especially the Dayton Lasco. They were sold as Air King though, I think.
Okay. I know Sears sold Lasco, and
yeah. So anyhow, yeah, RickBlender. Too bad Rick's not here, but that's okay because he's annoying. So, and by the way, did you see any possible Rick sightings on your way in?
Yes.
You did?
Sheep.
Okay, yeah, because you can't tell the difference sometimes. I did not see any, but by the time I got here, it was pretty late. So,
yeah.
Okay, let's get going. It's set to low.
Yep.
And as we've observed in many videos, the lows on these is actually like a medium. There was no real in the early days. There was no real use for a actual slow speed. You just had fast and faster.
Yeah.
And
and of course, someone like me knows how to get a low speed.
Oh yeah.
Just put a 3-speed pull chain. I think that already is one.
It's not.
What?
The center off ones? No, those really early ones just had a center off position.
Interesting, because I think I put in a straight 2-speed in mine. In one of mine, at least.
Yeah, I generally will use a 3-speed pull chain because I like the center off. I think it's
channel 2 would be your off.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, let's see. Watts and power factor. What am I getting? Amp. 67 watts.
Okay.
67.7, 68 watts.
The power factor on these is always about the same.
Yeah, 3/4. All right. Ooh. And to go to high, you know what we need?
Well, why don't you try first and see what happens?
Just can't read.
Oh no! This is the worst day of his life. Bye, fan stick.
Fan stick.
Let's back off again. Oops. I don't know what that just did. Yep, fan stick.
Yes, that's right. Fan stick.
Okay, we'll try it.
Okay.
Let's see if it solves all of your problems. Fan stick is the solution to all of my problems. Great to have a partnership with such a important and significant company.
That's right. We'll talk about more of them at the end.
We will. At the end, we will make sure we give detailed information on all of our sponsors.
1.48. That looks about right.
Yep. I'm starting to realize just how important voltage drop is because when we tested it before we started the video with all the lights on, it was like 1.43 maybe.
Yeah. We only turned off the HIDs just because of their color that they give off.
Well, I would now suggest that we would do it because of the power as well, because we get a more accurate test video
but
if we have.
left all the fluorescent lights.
They don't draw nearly as much, and we're right at 120 volts, which is perfect. Okay. 137 watts, power factor of 0.77. Okay. And these are generally just over 200 RPM and right around 9,000 CFM, but we will measure and see for ourselves.
Okay. Well, to conquer here, I'm going to go up and do the RPMs first. $817.
Okay. 205.
Yeah.
So that's right about there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And even I noticed a lot of industrials, like on their specs, usually specify 300 RPM.
Yep.
I noticed.
Yep.
So that's kind of the ideal RPM that most industrials like gold lines would have.
Yep.
What they want them to have. $669.
Okay, so we're going to multiply that by 14.75 square feet, which is the surface area of the fan. So that's one thing I neglected to put on the email that we could have put in the chart that we didn't. I'll show the chart here that Pete very artfully produced here.
Print one up in Word. That's all I had.
But you got the correct font size and everything. So.
Oh yeah, I just changed the sides.
So what we do is you take the surface area of the fan, which is going to be the same for every fan, the same size. So 52-inch fan is always going to be 14.75. And these are square feet. Because if you think about it, area is measured in square inches or square feet, or
That's
know.
Right.
And we want cubic feet because that's what the C in CFM stands for.
Yes.
And the F is feet, cubic feet per minute. So we're going to multiply 14.75 square feet, and so we're multiplying feet by feet. That's how we get cubic feet. So we're going to multiply that by the 669 feet per minute that we got out of the anemometer. And this one actually measures higher than some of the others. This one's measuring 9,868.
Okay.
So this is a little bit closer to 10,000 CFM.
Yeah. Well, remember, the anemometer is just going all over the place.
It is. It is.
Sometimes I catch a high number. Sometimes I don't.
We can do spin down now, can't we? We got
Yes.
about. Yeah. I mean, it's this is not the most scientific test.
No.
I maintain that it's better than the test that they're using for Energy Star.
Yeah.
Because theirs are pretty bad. But it's good enough for us. And it is proven to be fairly
ideal.
Well, that too, but what I was thinking of is it's been consistent. Like if we measure a bunch of blenders that all perform similarly, the measurements are all similarly.
Yeah.
It does seem that our method is working, because the measurements that we're getting are reflective of the performance that we're getting. So, yeah, we've had some requests now that more of these videos have gone public with the anemometer to start measuring the CFM on fans that we've tested a lot of but not measured. The main requests have been antiques, and there's actually a video. I think it was Pete and I. We measured the antiques in over there, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a video of Pete and I measuring 4 different antiques that's on Patreon. It's not public yet. It may or may not be public. We'll see. But yes, we do have measurements of antiques already, and we'll do some more in the future. The next request was for us to do all variations of gold lines, and we've done the 36 gold line. We did the 85, right? We did an 85.
We just did one of these that are hanging.
Yeah, well, we did one out here that turned out to be a bad reading because that one was failing. But then I think we did one in the enclosure.
Yeah.
That is a more accurate reading. That's also on Patreon, may or may not be public. But then we want to put some fans on the test rig. So we need to do
a
union gold line, and a modern gold line, and then an agrifan, like a 60-inch.
Yes.
And then the other request has been a 60-inch cast Dayton. So
oh yeah,
you will see all of those. So you will see some quick and dirty tests where they're not necessarily on the test rig on Patreon, but then we will also be throwing them up on the test rig and doing formal test rig footage as well, and those will be regular published videos. And also check Pete's channel because he might start doing CFM on his videos as well. Have you done any already?
Not yet.
But he's got the
Got the stuff here.
Yeah,
I think I've done RPMs.
yeah, we've got an anemometer here and an anemometer in my garage. And they stay in those places. So
Yeah.
either one of us can do.
I think the reason I didn't do CFM before, I didn't have these charts printed up the way I did.
Yeah,
But now that was one of the reasons.
Absolutely. Well, where do these normally start, your mental list?
Oh, they start around 4 at least.
Is that what your betting is for?
Yeah, I'll give it some.
Okay, I'll say 5.
I know these don't start the lowest.
No.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
Oh. Changing mine to 3.
You already started.
Nobody heard it. It didn't happen.
I did. Okay, 3.
Wow. This is a good performer.
Yeah, he must either have good bearings or...
Just in general, good performer. I mean, there's too many factors, but yeah, bearings are definitely good.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it got a higher than normal CFM rating, so everything seems to cross.
One thing we notice, these seemed, of course, Blenderfans in churches oftentimes have pipe for down rods on them because they have to make them longer for their ceiling.
I feel like maybe that's why they... I feel like that was a deliberate marketing thing on Emerson's point. Like, you don't got to buy a fancy down rod. You can just...
buy pipe.
Yeah.
1/2-inch pipe does the trick, and you whatever length you need.
Because nobody else did that.
Yeah, everyone else had specific down rods that are fan down rods.
Or at the very least, if they used pipe, at the very least you had to have a hole drilled to use them, which makes it a little more involved than just going to the hardware store and having it cut to length.
There's Hunter Originals 3/4-inch pipe.
Yeah, but I guess those were technically sold commercially, but I'm thinking of like industrials that you might market for like a church or, a warehouse or something like that.
Sure, but I noticed Hunter, their originals did the same thing where you can buy whatever length of pipe you want if you needed to modify it.
I mean, theoretically, you could do it with pretty much any fan, almost any fan. You just have to make sure some of them need a hole drilled.
Yep. The youth center with those SMCs.
They just use conduit.
Either conduit or pipe. I thought it was pipe.
Nope, that's like EMT. That's like electrical conduit. Do we have any here? Did I do any conduit here or no?
No.
Okay,
I got more. Here's 5. Okay. 6. 7. 8. Oh, now.
What? Oh, you're looking for something to crunch?
Yeah.
Oh. Crunch.
Yeah. Well, but perfect low right here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was being distracted because you'll notice the outside light's a little louder now, and it's weird that it gets louder and quieter. That's what was distracting me. Can you hear it?
Tiny amount, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's weird that it gets quieter and louder. Like when we started the video, it was quieter. I couldn't hear it then. Now I can hear it.
Here's 9. 10. 11. 12.
Crunch. You guys should have seen Pete jump.
13. And of course, I have the blender in the enclosure on the 81220.
Yeah. I mean, you like it for a reason. Nobody said you're wrong.
Yeah.
We've just said that you're silly, not wrong.
But the reason being is it's got that perfect speed range where it covers all. It's not just lows and then a jump to high, like some are. Here's 14. 15. 16. 17. 18, 19, 20.
Crunch, 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 crunch.
Okay, what's drawing at 20? It's,
1.22. Still got a ways before high.
Yep. See, and that's one of the reasons you get this close to high, but not.
You know what I'd like to do sometime is if we ever have a fan that we do not care about, I wouldn't want to use our test rig, but I'd like to get a capacitor that we don't care about and like leave it on a resonant frequency for a long time and see which one fails first, the motor or the capacitor.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to do that on a fan we care about, obviously.
No.
And I wouldn't want to do that with a fan we don't care about on our test rig because it might damage the test rig before it damages the fan.
Right.
So it'd have to be a specific scientific test that we set up, but that's for another time. Okay.
Maybe control that, like a capacitor-based control.
If there's one we hate, sure.
Yeah.
I can tell you which one it won't be. Won't be an 81220.
No, and those are
Not around here.
even though those are the likely ones that would hit the resonant frequency.
That's true.
On most.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
Crunch, 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 crunch.
It's 22. 25. Where am I?
You're close, if not over. No, you're not over.
It's 1.48. 27.
Over.
Okay.
You want to do a low-speed test or no? We've done enough of those?
Yeah, we've done.
Okay.
Thought we did them on the other RickBlenders.
We've done about at least some of them. I don't know if we did them on all of them, but definitely some.
Yeah. Well, we need solid state.
Yeah?
Well, I think this is going to be... I'm going to go with bedroom quiet.
I'll go with silent. It's not silent. I think Pete wins this one. It's definitely not loud.
No. I mean, it's perfect. It still works for a church, because this is what they would be on anyways in a church, is solid state.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, there was a public library that used to have two designers, not Blenderfans, but basically the same thing, you know? And they were on low the whole time, and to my ears they were silent, but the librarians complained they were too loud, so they took them down. I don't know why they didn't just leave them, turn them off.
Yeah.
Why take them down, but Okay, well, what kind of current, inrush current, do you think it'll have?
This may not have any.
You're going with no inrush?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to guess too, based on the last one we tested. Yeah. So if you're going with no, then I will say small. It's interesting because K63s are usually either no inrush or big inrush. They're rarely small.
Yeah.
I guess I technically by that definition I should go with big, but I'm not. I'm going to go with small.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like it's no inrush because it's going to climb.
Yeah.
Unless it drops after it climbs, which is a thing, but it was up to 48. I wonder why is it not going to 48 this time? Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, it was at 48 at one point in the video, and now it's at 46. But no, it didn't go up to 48, so no inrush.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we know how these score on the Rick test, since it is a RickBlender.
It is. Oh, yes.
And I think we know how they score on the metal test.
Yes.
Since Metal Pete likes them muchly as well. So all we have left then is to thank our sponsors. So
That's
you
right.
you got to see you got to see our primary sponsor, Fan Stick, which is of course the solution to all of our problems. And to find out more about Fan Stick, you can go to buyfanstick.com, fanstick.biz, and for the subsidiary Lightstick, you can go to lightstick.biz. Now, if that's not enough for you, there's also Florida Fan Stick, which is 69% longer and harder than regular Fan Stick. To find out more about Florida Fan Stick, did Skylar talk to you about Florida Fan Stick when you were in Florida? Because that was his idea.
I just didn't mention it.
You should have asked him.
I forgot.
I know. I think he probably forgot too as well. But yeah, he's definitely the brainchild behind Florida Fan Stick.
Yes.
Which was a product that was introduced specifically to sponsor the Workbench video on 1895s. Since Skylar and the Neon Fan Company had contributed. Did you take any footage while you were down there?
Yes.
You post it?
Not yet.
Okay, well, let me know when you do. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Take any of the ball pit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at least I got pictures of the ball.
He said you took some pictures in the ball pit.
Yeah.
So, yes. So as a thank you to the Neon Fan Company and Tubular Tokes and Skylar, we also promote Florida Fan Stick, which is, of course, as you know, 69% longer and harder than regular Fan Stick. To find out more, go to buyfanstickxxx.com. So we have some other sponsors as well that we could not possibly do our videos without of. I was a little hungrier earlier, and guess what I wish I could have had?
A taco burrito Mexico.
A burrito, and a Mexico.
That's right.
There were places that had tacos, and there were places that had burritos, but I couldn't find any Mexicos. And that's because there's only one place that has all three, and that's Taco Burrito Mexico.
That's right, in Green Bay.
In Green Bay, Wisconsin. You went to great lengths to manufacture these, and they're beautifully done, but what if you wanted them to be just so-so? Where would you go? You'd go to the good manufacturing company.
Well,
when excellence is too much.
The good manufacturing, they made the fluorescent lights.
I know, but I'm just assuming they make anything that's just okay.
Yeah.
You know? Speaking of just okay, if I was thirsty...
Oh, yes. Sperry.
Sperry. Beverage of choice of fan collectors.
That's right.
And what did you say about Sperry, Pete?
Sperry good.
Sperry good. So, what else do we have? Besides the game, I'm trying to save the game for last. Is there anything else I missed? A1220 LLC,
yes.
Where our motto is crunch, 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 crunch. Pete and I and some friends are going to dinner on Sunday coming up, and hopefully the A1220 company will not be sponsoring that dinner, so Pete can chew quietly. I'm hoping
pizza, not chips.
Not chips. Well, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I'm sincerely hoping that we have a different sponsor. We have hopefully our sponsor for that dinner will be the quietest chewing ever. What else? Is that everything?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then of course the last one, of course, is I really wanted to play a fun game tonight, Pete, and I couldn't do it here, but I can do it online. I can play Rick or Sheep by going to rickorsheep.com.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. Pete and I play it often.
Yep.
There just has to be either Rick or Sheep present or not. I suppose we can play Rick or Sheep. We got this here again. What's this? Rick or Sheep?
Oh, that's neither.
No, you gotta pick one. That's the game. That's how you play.
That's Rick.
That's Rick. Okay. So if you also want to play Rick or Sheep, go to rickorsheep.com and then go to rickorsheep.com again as many times as you like. That's how the game goes. So as always, patreon.com/dspiffy for more footage. You wouldn't believe how much footage there is that's actually not public. There's something like 500 videos that are not public, and many of them are on Patreon, and anything that's not public that's not on Patreon, all you have to do is request it on Patreon. So highly recommend that. As always, what else should they do, Pete?
Buy Fan.
Buy Fan Stick. Thanks for watching.